Three secrets of email marketing. That is the topic of the hour. Hello, good day, greetings, ciao, namaste, and salams to peeps from all around the world. Welcome to the live. Now, this particular series features purpose-led leaders who are making a dent in the universe in their own special way. Stick around till the end, and I promise you that you'll walk away with at least one, if not more, practical yet scrumptious takeaways from each of these live sessions. Like an ice cream sundae topped with heavy whipped cream, melted dark chocolate, and a dash of gold dust. But most importantly, if you turn up live, you'll get a chance to ask each guest questions that are bugging you like an itch that can't be scratched. Now, my today's guest is a kick-ass digital marketer, managing partner of Hope SEL, host of Digital Marketing Masters podcast, and an email marketing expert. He believes that the difference between a good email and a great email generally lies in the story of the email. So will you please put your virtual hands together to welcome my fantabulous guest, Matt Rouse.
Hello.
Hey, Matt, how you doing?
I am doing well. Yeah, it's good to chat with you again because you were on my show previously on my podcast on Digital Marketing Masters.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's right. And that's how we met, basically.
Yeah.
And through LinkedIn. And so, and I knew that I've got to have Matt on my live show because, you know, you've been doing this for a while and I'm sure we can all learn from you.
A long while.
Now, before we get into the chips and gravy of this conversation, we are going to start off the show with a quick fire round. Are you ready, Matt?
I'm ready.
All right, let's go. Which store would you max out your credit card if you absolutely had to?
Any music store. I love playing any kind of musical instruments. I love gear, you know. So
Do you play instruments?
I play almost anything poorly.
All right, okay. All right. What three jargon words would you eliminate from the US dictionary?
Okay, I'm going to put three together in a phrase. And
Okay.
that phrase is get rich quick.
Okay, and we'll delve more into that later on.
That's right. The only people who got rich quick are the people who accidentally bought GameStop stocks recently in the United States.
Yeah.
Or bought Bitcoin 8 years ago.
Or who bought Bitcoin? Yes, I know. I'm still reading from that. Wish I had bought them 8 years ago. All right. If you could take three things to a desert island, what would they be?
Well, I think the first thing would be a survival book. See, that'd be handy. You know?
Okay.
And then something to distill water, like a beaker or something, you know, like a glass container of some kind. And then I'd probably take like a fishing pole or a net. Maybe a net would be better.
Yes, net would be better.
Cast a big net, they say.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I love how when I ask guests this question and everybody comes up with a different answer. I love it. All right, I am going to play a sound for you. Can you tell me who does it belong to?
Oh.
Actually, that's the wrong sound.
I was going to say, that's a tough one.
Okay, peeps. These things happen. It's a live show. That was the wrong sound. But the correct sound is this. And it's coming up right now.
Pretty sure that's Homer from The Simpsons.
Yes, that's it.
There we go.
Whoa, we got there. We got there at the end.
You know, didn't they just have like the last season of The Simpsons? Like it's been on like almost my whole life, I think.
Yes, exactly. Was it the last season? Really?
I think so.
Oh, wow. Because they've been going on forever. Probably the longest running animated show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
All right.
Groening used to make this cartoon book that wasn't about The Simpsons. And it was like these two rabbits, and it was like a hand-drawn black and white cartoon, like comic book style book that I used to read when I was a kid. When I was like 8, 9 years old, I used to read it.
Yeah.
And then like a couple years later, it was like The Simpsons, and then he was super popular like forever.
Yeah.
But back in the day, I was reading his crappy comic books, and they were pretty funny still. But
All right. All right. Just want to say hi to Matt and Kaleem. You guys rock. Alrighty. One last question before we get into the meat and potatoes of this conversation.
Cameron,
If you could have any superhuman power, what would it be?
time travel.
Oh no, that's the same for me. That's what I said to my kids as well. I want to time travel.
That's right. You can just go back and make bad decisions over and over until you find the right one.
Exactly, and but you can keep
Right.
going back and rectify it. I love that.
And in North America, it was Groundhog Day yesterday. Groundhog
Yeah.
Day, like the movie, but Groundhog Day is when like the groundhog comes out to see if he sees his shadow, and if he doesn't see his shadow, then you get early spring is the urban myth around it. And he didn't see his shadow, so supposedly we're going to get early spring this year.
Oh well. Okay. Well, let's hope so. But you have moved to Canada. Does it still apply there?
Yeah, so they do the same ritual on the same day, but they have two different groundhogs. Like the one in the United States is called 𝒈𝒏𝒄𝒆, and the one in Canada, crap, I can't remember his name right now. But it's a different name of a different groundhog somewhere in southern Ontario. And anyway,
Okay. No worries. All right, Matt. We did it. Quick fire round is over, and now it's time to get into the chips and gravy of this conversation. Now, Matt, imagine that I'm holding a pair of boxing gloves.
okay.
Could you take these gloves from me and smash for me, and not my face, please, but some kind of email marketing myth, a bogus strategy, or a misconception, and set the record straight once and for all?
I have a super easy one, and you will see it all the time. And that is if you put something that says sign up for our newsletter with a name and an email and a submit button on the bottom of your website, that anyone that is going to be a potential customer is ever going to sign up for it. And the answer to that is no.
Yeah.
But everybody does it.
That is so true. Or just the boring old when you get to someone's website and it says sign up for a newsletter here, like without
Right.
any reason, nothing, just sign up for a newsletter here, and then the email inbox subscribe. It's like, why? Give me a reason first.
Right.
Well,
Do you know what nobody wants? Is more
yeah.
newsletters. No one wants them.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody gets up in the morning and they're like, oh man, I wish I could get some more newsletters today.
Yeah.
That'd be great. If I could get more email I have to read.
Yeah, exactly. That is so true. That is so true. Our inbox is already so cluttered. And of course, that's why we're doing this live.
Right.
We need to answer all of these questions as to how do we best leverage when our inboxes or email marketing, when everybody's inbox is already cluttered with a lot of nonsense. But
Yeah.
first, just a quick side note, we are streaming to LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube simultaneously. If for some reason your LinkedIn stream plays out, you can continue over to my YouTube channel, which is bit.ly/spreading ideas with Amber Khan. All right, now let's get back into this fact.
Sure.
Now, before we go any further, could you share with our viewers and listeners, why do you do what you do?
So I run a marketing agency, and we're a done for you marketing agency, which basically means if you have a small to medium sized business and you want someone to do your marketing for you, we will do all of it for you. So we handle basically everything from email marketing, advertising, SEO, hosting, website design, web updates, security, all of that stuff. So that's where it comes from. However, I was an IT and information systems contractor since the late 90s. And often I would go to a company and I would have to either fill in for someone who was doing their email marketing, or I would be hired specifically for that once that piece was on my resume. And a good example is in about 2006, 2007, I don't remember the exact year, a frantic phone call comes in from someone that I had just met at a networking event about 6 months before that. And they were like, do you know how to send emails for like big lists? And this is back in the day where you had to like actually write the code in each HTML to send the
Oh,
email, like
yes,
with like note.
HTML
Yeah, it
emails.
was like Notepad and stuff, right? Right. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I could. They're like, okay, well, we have a list of 1.1 million and we need to send something today. So anyway, I drove down and they had an email list for this nationwide furniture company in the United States. And the person who was doing that for them, who was a contractor for the company, just no call, no showed to work one day. And they never showed up again. They never heard from them. And they needed to get this sent out. And so I started doing that and improving how they would send,
Yeah.
finding ways to get them better results. And then from there, of course, we had done it for hundreds of clients over the years. And, you know, I've literally made companies millions and millions and millions of dollars sending email.
Wow. Wow. That is awesome. And we are going to obviously talk more about this, but I have to address the elephant in the room, which
Sure.
is email marketing still relevant in 2021 and beyond?
So at the end of 2019, beginning of 2020, when everybody got kind of locked in, locked down, or their business got shut down for whatever reason, and because of COVID, everybody went, well, I have to get the word out about my business. So, what are my choices, right? And there's paid advertising, which they didn't have any money because nobody's coming in the door because their business is closed. So, they went to Facebook and then they started sending email.
Hmm.
And people were now working at home for the most part, or they were temporarily laid off, or whatever the reason is, you know, like they couldn't go to work because they had a labor job or they were a server or whatever. They couldn't go into the office. Um, those people are at home and now they're actually reading their email. They're not just
Hmm.
trying to delete everything and read the one or two things because now they got some time, right?
Yeah.
So, in some places, um, email marketing response rates went up as high as like some of the e-commerce sites we saw went up 400%.
Wow.
And that is still held through today. It's dipped a little bit, but I mean, you're getting 3, 4 times the response from emails that you used to get even 2 years ago. So,
Yeah.
also, almost every service that there is requires you to sign up with an email. So, as
Yes.
long as you can get someone's best email, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you have a good way to get a hold of them. You have a good way to talk to them. You can build a relationship with somebody as long as you are trying to build a relationship with someone and not trying to spam them with a bunch of buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff emails.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. So let's. I mean, you just spoke about, earlier on you busted a myth around when people say, subscribe to my newsletter, how ineffective
Right.
that is. Um, and so let's just start from there. What are the best
Sure.
practices? What should we be doing right now? What's working right now?
Well, so there's a lot of stuff that's kind of industry specific, but we wanted to kind of boil it down a little bit so that kind of everybody can use it. So there is going to be some things here that are going to be different depending upon your industry, especially if you're in an industry like finance or something like that, or mortgage, where you have some regulations about email that you can send and what you can say. So I'm going to leave those up to your own legal teams and legal advice, right? If in that kind of industry. But what happened is we started doing in-person classes to teach people how to send better emails because I was tired of getting crappy emails.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I know how to fix this, so why don't I just tell everybody how to do it, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And so I came up with this course, and actually I have my old presentation on my screen because the title's a little hard to remember because it was how to do email marketing when no one wants your emails and they don't have time to read them between Netflix binges anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody would laugh at the title, and then we'd go in and we'd talk about the 3 secrets of email marketing.
Hmm.
And there's, like I said, just like it says at the top of the screen, 3 secrets of email marketing. And I'll tell you what secret number one. Secret number
Yeah.
one is how you get people on your list and how you keep people on your list. And that
Yeah.
is you have to figure out something that people want to hear from you, not what you want to tell them. What do
Hmm.
they want to hear from you?
Hmm.
Ask them if you can email them that thing. And if they say yes, then you email them that thing.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the secret.
I think that one answers the first myth that we started off with, that the first time the prospect sort of lands on your website, right, and you obviously at that point want to give them something valuable, but giving away a sign up for my newsletter is not a valuable, first of all, it's
Right.
not a valuable freebie.
There's no value in that.
Yeah, and secondly, like you said, nobody wakes up, wanting another newsletter in their inbox. Right.
Right.
So
And
could you share some examples of better freebies than
sure.
newsletters?
So I think you probably hear the term lead magnet, right, thrown around a lot.
Mm,
And that's, I mean, kind of an industry term at this point. And you could do it for almost anything. Um, you see like a lot of direct response marketers, like a company like Digital Marketer or something like that. They have an example that is it's grow enough food to feed a family of four in 4 square feet of space, even if you don't have a yard, and then put your email in. That is a
yeah,
very specific ask, right?
yeah,
They're saying,
yeah,
do you want this thing? But what they're not saying is, what are you going to get after that, right?
yeah, yeah.
And you'll see like companies who are in the e-commerce world, or maybe they have retail mixed commerce stuff. They're going to say something like, get $10 off your first custom picture frame, or get 10% off your first order, get 15% off apparel, whatever. Sign up here, right?
Yeah,
Which is good for getting people to sign up. But you're not really also telling them what else they're going to get.
yeah,
And I like to be very clear about what is someone going to get,
yeah,
how often are you going to send it to them,
yeah,
right? And why do they want to stay on your list?
yes,
So if you're e-commerce, a good example might be get 10% off your first order and then get advance notice of upcoming sales or new products or something like that. So
mm,
if you want to be the first in to get the new thing,
mm,
another good example might be get access, get email subscriber only access to up to 70% off clearance sales or something like that, where
mm,
you only sell your clearance items to your subscribers first, and then what's left over you put on the website, kind of thing.
yeah. What
And those are
about,
kind of email e-commerce examples.
yeah, those are e-commerce. What about, say, like coaches, consultants, small business owners, where they're selling sort of like done for you services? What is the best option for them if they were not to give an ebook away or a newsletter away?
I don't think there's anything wrong with an ebook or a newsletter. I actually like those options. Um, what you want to do is, if you're a coach, especially, you have a path, right, that the person's on, and they are at this point, and they're trying to get to this point, and there's steps they're going to take to do that. So maybe they'll start with some searches on the internet, and then maybe they're looking for a first step, like a baby step in the process or something like that, and what those steps are going to be. You want to
Mhm.
insert yourself into the beginning of that process with a downloadable or something that they can get, especially if it's a really quick win. So a good example would be, like, let's say you're a fitness coach, right?
Yeah,
Before you do the couch to 5K, let's do the couch to 500 meters,
yeah,
right? Get your 3-day program here. That is
yeah,
an baby step towards a longer goal. Maybe the person wants to run a marathon when they turn 40 or whatever, right? And so you can have something that's an intermediary step. If it's like a business coach or something like that, it might be find out a way to organize your calendar to save you 45 minutes a week. Stuff like that. That just
yeah,
something helpful. Get them in the process.
yeah.
Also,
Or or
so
even
sorry.
challenges.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, give them short challenges that they can implement in the next 5, 10 minutes or 15 minutes, something like that.
yeah.
Um,
Or a daily challenge kind of thing is a good
or
one
a
too.
daily challenge.
5 minutes a day, you can do this thing, right?
Yeah, yeah,
The important part is that you do want it to be a quick win, and you want it to
yes,
be immediate, right? So as soon as they
yeah,
get it, they can benefit from it, because that kind
yeah,
of hooks them, right?
yeah,
And then the consistency after that is how you keep them on your list and how you can build rapport with them. Even if they're, maybe they're not You're sending it every week or something, and maybe they don't need your services or they're busy right now for whatever reason, but they're
Yeah.
gonna, delete them, but they still see your name in the inbox every week, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it keeps you top of mind until they do need it. And if you're a
Yeah.
service industry person,
Yeah.
like a perfect example, I hear this all the time. They go, "Well, I'm a plumber, so I'm not going to send out an email," right? Well,
Yeah.
we had a plumbing company that we talked to down in California at an event we were at, and they send out an email marketing list. It's called "What Not to Flush Down a Toilet,"
I love that.
and they flush stuff down the toilet, and they show you what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
And
That
they
is super
send one out
cute.
every week, and they have like 100,000 people on their list, right?
That is super
It's just
cute.
amazing, right?
Yeah.
It's like that
Now that will
YouTube
make it
channel,
fun.
Will It Blend, where they stick crap in a blender, right? They
Yeah.
sold hundreds of thousands of blenders with this
I remember
channel,
that.
right?
Yeah.
So there's lots of ways. Another thing that people forget is that you can send physical products to get people to be a subscriber, right?
Mm.
So it could be sign up for our mailing list and we'll send you a sticker, or get 3 other people to sign up for your mailing list and we'll send you a pair of socks, right? Like
Yeah.
that's how the Hustle newsletter did it. So they had every so many people you sign up for.
Yeah.
It was like 3 people you get a sticker, and 10 people you get a pair of socks, and 50
Right.
people they send you like a gift card, and 100 people you get a free flight somewhere or something. I don't remember what all the prizes were.
Yeah.
But physical products and prizes are also a good way, especially if you have a local market,
Yes.
right? So if you have a local newsletter just around your local area, you can say, come into the office or come into the store and get this thing, right? So sign up and we'll give you this. Then they come into the store and you get to talk to them,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and
I love that. That especially for local businesses, that is, I think that is absolutely the right thing to do, because it differentiates you from your
right,
competitors. And at the same time, it helps you build your own following, own customer base, own subscriber base as well.
absolutely.
So
And you know what the other thing about lead magnets is, and I don't want to spend our whole time talking about lead magnets, but
yeah,
it is a very important part because you got to get people on your list, right? Having people on your list is, if there's nobody on your list, then there's nobody to
yeah,
send to.
yeah,
You don't just have to have one lead magnet, right?
hmm,
You can have lots and lots of them.
yeah.
Like for our inbox mastery email course, we have 13 right now. So
Oh
there's
wow,
13 different lead magnets of ways of people to get into the course,
yeah,
right? And so, like one of them is our customer avatar form. So,
hmm,
customer avatar is to learn things about your customer, what they do, where they hang out, things like that, what they look at online, so that you can be better at trying to target your sales and marketing.
hmm,
So, if you went to, it's hook2.us, so it's hook2.us/avatar,
yeah,
and you can see a landing page for that.
yeah,
And then hook2.us/inbox, that's our course, right?
yeah, yeah,
And we have another one where if you go to my personal website, to MatthewRouse.com, you can
yeah,
go there and you can get a download. You could download the latest edition of my last book that I wrote. You get the whole book, 100% free. And again, it signs you up on our list, right?
yeah,
And then from
yeah,
there, it kicks off an automated campaign where you'll get a few emails. And then from there, we
yeah.
send out weekly.
Yeah. So that goes to show that you do not have to have there is not just one way to get people onto your subscriber list. Yeah. You could have
Right.
this, you could be selling the same
You can,
product or service, but many different ways to get them in onto your subscriber list, then onto obviously your product and service.
right. And you
Or
want to try and keep it related, right?
yeah,
Related to
yeah,
your business. You don't want to be like, you don't want to have the what am I going to flush down the toilet and then be selling like business coaching, you know?
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. So I guess so from what you've said, it needs to be relevant,
Yep.
um, related to your product and service.
Yes.
And what else? What would be the third
And a
one?
quick win.
And a quick win. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And before someone signs up, you want to tell them what they're going to get and how often they're going to get it.
Right.
So,
Okay. So be transparent. That's another one. Be transparent.
right. On our company
Yeah.
website, if you go to hookseo.com, right at the top of
Yeah.
the page, it says get weekly stories and marketing tips
Yeah.
straight to your inbox, right? So it says it's
Yeah.
weekly, and it says you're
Yeah.
going to get stories and you're going to get marketing tips.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. So love that. Needs to be transparent as well. So okay, you shared secret one. Shall we move on
Right?
to secret 2 and 3?
Sure. So secret 2 is you want to have a clean list. And by clean, I mean if somebody wants to unsubscribe from your list, you should let them, if not encourage them. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one is you pay by the amount of subscribers you have, right? So when you're paying for your email marketing software, for most of them, right, whether it's Constant Contact or Drip or Mailchimp or whatever, right? You're paying by the amount of subscribers. So if you've got 10,000 people on your list, but 2,000 of them don't want to be on it, you're paying a couple $100 a month for those 2,000 people who are never going to give you any money for the rest of their life. And they don't want to hear from you anyway, right? So let them unsubscribe.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, yeah, you don't do that crap where you hide the unsubscribe button or make it difficult, right? Um, I saw this list. Man, I can't remember his name right now. Adam Torres, I think is his name.
Yeah.
He had an unsubscribe button that was the entire width of his email, and it had a picture of him pointing at it. He's like,
Right.
unsubscribe. Like, if you don't want my stuff, get
Yeah.
off my list, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't have to be that aggressive about it, but you want to make sure it's easy to unsubscribe, because if the first thing that happens if they can't find the unsubscribe button is they mark it as spam. When they mark it as spam, then their email host is more likely to put your future emails into the spam box,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So
Now,
let's
the
talk
other
about
thing is,
best practices for to avoid that, because this is a concern for a lot of people, especially those who have just recently started sending off emails, and they find that their emails end up in spam boxes.
right. Well, so cleaning your list will help with that.
Yeah.
And that means not buying lists,
Mm-hmm.
not putting people on who you haven't asked to be on your list.
Mm-hmm.
Always ask people, right? You want your list to be opt-in. You want it permission marketing, right? Like, I think it was 1990 when, or no, sorry, it was 2000 when Seth Godin did his talk about permission marketing, right?
Yeah.
21 years ago, he was saying, get people to opt in before you send them marketing material,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you want to opt in. Now, there are some shortcuts. You can buy lists from, data provider or something like that. Use a tool like Headhunter to find emails, and there's all kinds of other ways to get emails. But then you need to go through a process called list cleaning, which we don't really have time to talk about today. But
Yeah.
you guys can always hit me up if you want to talk about list cleaning. So
Yeah.
the thing you want to do. Oh, sorry, it was Christopher Penn who had the giant unsubscribe button.
All
I
right.
just I just saw his picture flash by my old presentation here when I was scrolling through it trying to find his name. So there's several ways to stay out of the spam box,
Yeah.
but the first thing you have to do is you got to
Yeah.
get your email delivered. So
Yeah.
even before an email host decides whether they're going to put an email in the spam box or in the inbox,
Mm-hmm.
before that there's a process of delivery.
Mm-hmm.
And what can happen is, especially large providers like Gmail, Hotmail, Frontier, Comcast, Rocket Mail, all these places, Yahoo, they have an initial spam filtering that happens before it decides on the second level of spam filtering, which is what most people know about.
Right.
So delivery is getting past things like blacklisting. If a server is not accepting mail from your domain, if you don't have things set up for your domain properly, and these are all technical things.
Yeah.
But the way to find out is, let's say you send an email to 1,000 people at Gmail,
Yeah.
so 1,000 Gmail addresses.
Yeah.
Gmail is going to deliver about 100 of them.
Right.
If most of those 100 people either delete it or mark it as spam,
Yeah.
then they don't bother delivering the other 900. They just delete them.
Right.
So they don't even go in the spam box. They just go nowhere. They just disintegrate.
Right.
So deliverability is key. If you're blacklisted because too many people have marked you as spam, then your email, none of it gets delivered.
Right.
It will tell you it was sent, but no
Right.
one will get it.
Right.
And then you can tell that if you have a 0% open rate, then you know what happened.
Right.
Okay. But so
Right.
step one is delivery,
Okay.
right? If you're having deliverability problems, that's a technical issue. Talk to somebody technical about it. You can call us, call somebody else who's an email host. They can help you, or your email marketing provider can help you with that.
Yeah.
Okay, step two is avoiding the spam box, and
Yeah.
there are tons of ways to do it. There are certain types of phrases and wording and things that companies use regularly for spamming,
Mm-hmm.
and you want to avoid any of that kind of salesy language.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there is some exceptions to that rule, and that might be if people are signing up to find out about sales, it's fine to send them sales language.
Right.
However, that may get your emails ending up in the spam box.
Yeah.
Another thing is, if I were to send an email to you, I
Mm-hmm.
don't use a template with like a frame and
Yeah.
stuff and all that, right?
Yeah.
So if you're having problems with your emails going into the spam box, you can try just sending a straight text email with a couple photos instead of all of the frame and flowery crap around it that you don't really need, right?
Yeah.
And that may help it get through. Another thing that you can do, make sure you're not using a bunch of like too many emojis and buttons and then lastly, the more links you have in your email,
Mm-hmm.
the more likely it is to go in the spam box.
Oh.
So generally, I try to send an email that does not have any links in it at least once a month to my lists.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that helps make sure, because once you get in the inbox and people
Yeah.
spend time reading it or they click on it or they reply, and replies are the best,
Yes.
right? Once
Yeah.
that happens, you stay out of the spam box, especially if they reply. Usually, when you reply, so if I send out a marketing email to everybody on my list and you get one and you reply to it and you say, "Oh, Matt, that's funny, ha ha ha,"
Yeah.
now I'm uh, in
Good book.
your right. Well, not just the good book; it puts me in your address book.
Yeah. Yeah.
When an email comes from someone in your address book, it doesn't go in the spam box, right?
Yes.
So that will always get delivered.
Yeah.
So there's like a email series
Yeah.
that we usually use with anytime we're going to set up email marketing for people to
Yeah.
try and get responses from
Yeah.
our emails.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is so that we can get in people's inbox
Yeah.
and get in their subscriber, in their, I don't know, I can't remember the name of it. I just said it 2 seconds ago. But anyways, we want to get in their list, in their
Yeah.
address book,
And they're interested. Yes.
and then you can send to them, forever, right? As long as you
Yeah.
don't start spamming them with crap they didn't ask for.
Yeah. And that's where the permission marketing comes, right? Because
Mhm.
they have given us permission to email them because they wanted something from us, and
That's
hence
right.
we are emailing them.
So,
And being transparent about it as well, that you will receive a weekly email or weekly whatever
right,
news
right.
from us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, secret number one is ask them what they want from you and send it to them, right?
Yeah.
And secret number two is to have a clean list, let people unsubscribe, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And secret number three is if people aren't responding to your emails,
Yeah.
then your emails are too boring. Okay? When you send out an email to your list,
Yeah.
someone should be responding, right? And there's nothing worse to a client or a potential customer
Yeah.
than when you send an email out to them that says, "Do not respond at ambercon.com."
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? That just says, "I don't want to talk to you." Or it says, "I want to talk to you, but I don't want you to talk back."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So true.
It's obnoxious, is what it is. Right?
Really obnoxious. That is so true. When
You
it
know what a
says
perfect
no reply, it says
right,
no reply at john.com or whatever. I was
right.
like, what is this?
You get those from large companies all the time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so one of the best emails, especially if you're kind of just getting the ball rolling, right, on your list. Um, even under several thousand people on your list, you can still send this to every person who signs up, right? You can send them an email that says, hey, welcome to the list. I just wanted to remind you, these are the things that we're going to talk about, right, every week on our email or every month or whatever the frequency is.
Hmm.
I wanted to know if there's anything I could help you with now. Just hit reply.
Yeah.
And I read every reply I get, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you'll get a lot of replies from people. Like we get sometimes 15-20% response from that one email.
Mm.
And that means 20% of your list has you in their address book, and you're never going to go to the spam box with those 20% of people.
Yeah.
20% is more than some people get for an open rate ever,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
True. Yeah. So
So it's like magic.
giving them a reason to respond.
Right.
Yeah. Rather than
And
just talking at them.
yeah, I would say our response rate on our lists generally is about 0.5 to 1%, which seems like a small number, but compared to most companies who never get a response from anyone ever,
Yeah.
that's a huge response rate.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Definitely.
that's the reply rate. I'm not talking about how many people purchase or open
Yeah.
or any of
Yeah.
those other things.
This reply rate on the email. And
Right.
what about, let's talk a little bit more about like, because we've now seen going forward, this email marketing has come in,
Mhm.
personalization, a lot of tools has come in. There's so much happening in the email space. Before it used to be just text. Now we've gone into image personalization, video personalization. So can you talk a little bit more about that? Have you experimented with those tools? What do you see the trend, in the future moving towards? And what are the best practices? When
Yeah.
it.
So, I mean, it really depends on what you're doing
Mhm.
and what your company does. One thing that's probably the easiest segmentation ever is to have a list that is customers and a list that is prospects.
Mhm.
And if somebody buys something from you, you should be moving them from the prospect list to the client list
Yes.
because I mean, it can get annoying for people who are on your list who have already purchased from you to keep seeing prospect related email information. Um, if you're just telling stories in your email or giving people data, that may not be the case. That may not be as important. Um, but yeah, there's a different messaging that you would use with someone who's already a client or a customer of your service-based company, or um, who maybe has already made a purchase from you in the past. You would speak to them differently than somebody who's never heard of your company,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Absolutely. And I mean, where do you see? Because I've seen a lot of now companies now getting into video email marketing,
Hmm.
personalizing videos to each customer. How do you see that playing out?
So I like it for some cases.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of those emails, especially like I do a lot of podcast guesting. So I'll go on other people's podcasts or shows, like I'm on your show, and then the host will have an email that comes out that's, I can kind of tell it's generic email, but it looks like it's personalized because they're holding a sign that has my name in it. But I'm like, they just use some code to put that font in,
Yeah.
whatever. Not important. But I mean, the personalization's neat and everything. But I
Yeah.
think there is kind of, you have to remember that internet access is not equitable all over the world or even in, your own province or state or country or county, right? So a good example is just like before the show we were talking, I moved to Nova Scotia. I have terrible internet at my house, and I'm actually at my parents' house using their office because they have better internet so that I could be on the show. But if I
Yeah.
get a video email at my house at the like it's not even 1 megasecond. It would take all day to download that one email,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what they need to be doing is transcribing it into the email also.
Right.
That way, if you can't see the video, at least you can read it,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Another thing is that those emails don't have, a lot of times, they don't have like a closed caption or something on them.
Mm.
So they're not ADA compliant. So, somebody who has a disability,
Right.
like a hearing disability or something, they can't read it. So
Right.
transcription is important in those cases also.
Right.
Um, but personalization for something like e-commerce is super important.
Hmm.
And you can get very basic one-to-one personalization with most mail, like email marketing tools now.
Hmm.
Like even like MailChimp or something will do it where there's a couple different kinds. One of them is you can have, I want to send an email to everyone on my list, but the products are personalized to the products that that client has looked at in the past.
Yes.
So it
Yes.
sends different products to each person, even though you're sending the whole rest of the email is the same.
Yeah.
So there's that kind of personalization. And then there's also personalized emails like if a client, looks at this barbecue, then 2 days from now, I want to send them an email that has barbecue tools and a barbecue cover and things like that that they might be interested in. So there's
Yeah.
that kind of e-commerce personalization. And
Yeah.
then there's also personalization that's based on sort of user demographics, as well as a combination of that and what people have looked at on your website. And for that, you would use something like Klaviyo. And Klaviyo has personalization. It can
Yeah.
say, yeah, like everybody who say looked at my, you know, all things real estate sign riders, I want to send them a personalized email that has, a shirt with a cool saying on it, but I want to send this shirt to women and this shirt to men. So
Hmm.
it has personalization by both demographic and product.
Yeah. 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 And I mean, I've seen it happen with the text content as well. So if you have say a service-based business and you are sharing, you've got a blog series on your website,
Hmm.
and you can basically monitor who's consuming what type of content. So if a visitor is just checking out content on how to make money from starting a blog, for example, and is just consuming all the content related to that and not really interested in e-commerce, for example, so not touching that content.
Right.
So you can actually get that information off your website and using tools and personalized emails to those subscribers so they see the more relevant content. You can basically show them like what Amazon does. When you buy
Right.
something on Amazon, it shows you related products just below
Right.
it. Customers who bought this also bought this, right?
So you can
As
do it's the email equivalent of retargeting with advertising, right?
yes,
So
yes,
like if you went to this page on the website, you could retarget them with an email, you could retarget with ads, you could retarget with text messages, you could retarget with all kinds of things, YouTube videos and stuff like that too. Um,
yeah,
Another kind of use case, um, without getting like too far down the rabbit hole, but
yeah,
so here's a perfect example. This is something we're actually working on right now. My wife works with us, Carrie, and she's working on building this out in Kajabi right now, which is what we use
right,
for our courses.
focus,
Um, yeah, I love Kajabi, by the way. But so we're making a podcast for coaches, and
right,
it's called Motivational Success Podcast. Except it's not going to be an interview podcast where we do the interview live.
yeah,
We're going to pre-record the questions. They're going to pre-record the answers, and
right,
then we're going to put it together and put it out. So what
right,
happens is they go to the site, they fill out a form. We send them an email series that teaches them how to get clear audio, how to make sure they know how to use the Profound tools, the name of the tool we're using, and they go in there, how to record it, how to tell us when they've finished recording, and then it sends a sequence of emails,
yeah,
right? Kind of walking them through the process.
yeah,
But if they finish the whole process on day one and they
yeah,
go to the other form to say, yeah, I've completed it, it
yeah,
stops sending them the previous email drip campaign and
right,
sends them a new one that's
right,
about, now that you've completed, uploading your podcast. So there's
yeah,
logic that you can put in that's really simple. So
yeah,
you can say something like, if somebody signs up for this challenge or this product or whatever it is, and they start getting emails and they've completed it, now I
yeah,
can put them on a different track and start sending them a different group of emails.
yes,
And that is just an if then kind of personalization where you say, if somebody has subscribed to this new one, unsubscribe them from the old one.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it makes so much sense to do that because you don't want to be overwhelming your subscriber list with crap or with the same stuff over and over again, and
Right.
then they end up unsubscribing or putting you in the spam folder.
And you know what goes along with that? And this
Yeah,
free tip for almost every company that's advertising on Facebook and Instagram in the whole world.
yeah,
All you have to do to save about 20% of your retargeting advertising dollars
yeah,
is put in exclude purchases from the last 30 days.
yes, yes,
That, you know how many companies I go to that I've already bought stuff from that retarget me? All
yeah,
of that money is wasted.
yes, yes, yeah,
So,
absolutely,
free
absolutely.
advertising tip today.
Yeah, doesn't All right, so I have to ask you, give us your favorite email marketing tools. The email marketing.
Well, that's tough because they're all better at doing different things.
Yeah.
So, um, I use SendFox,
All right.
and SendFox, if you are sending kind of straight text emails with just like an image or two here and there and like a button kind of
Yeah.
thing, you're never going to get too fancy with it.
Yeah.
It will build your landing page for you. You pre-generate things like it'll put in automatically your RSS feed from your videos like YouTube or your podcast,
Yeah.
and it's $49 one time for lifetime use.
Oh, serious?
Right. So you pay
Wow.
once and then
Yeah.
you don't have to pay monthly ever.
Oh, no.
And if you need to send more, like your list goes over, I think it's 10,000 subscribers, it's like another $49.
But what's the deliverability rate like? Because you know how that's how all these email
It's
response.
really good.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's made by AppSumo. I don't know if you know AppSumo, but
Yes, yes, of course. I love it.
yeah,
I'm like forever buying stuff from.
right. Well, so AppSumo, they made it themselves because they got tired of using MailChimp because they said MailChimp was too complicated. And honestly, you know what? I love MailChimp too. But if
Mm.
most people who are using MailChimp are not using any of the automation features, they're
Yeah.
not using any of the API stuff, and they don't need to be using it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you have, an e-commerce store or something, and maybe your list is on like a couple thousand or less,
Yeah.
then MailChimp is a perfectly fine tool to do that job. But
Yeah.
if you want to get into, like I was saying, demographic targeting and all that kind of stuff, now you're going to be getting into something like Klaviyo. And Klaviyo does all those kind of things. And it's more complicated and
Mm-hmm.
it's much more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But it will give you much better results, right? Because obviously, if you can do targeting that's, both by product and by demographic, and it also does things like messenger and text and stuff. So it's a much more advanced tool.
Yeah.
But for most people,
Yeah.
like most small business owners that I talk to, they want to log into the tool, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Say,
Emails.
this week something funny happened, such and such came into the store and blah 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 blah, and the lesson I learned is never judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
P.S. We got 20% off on gadgets this week, and they hit send, and you know what,
Yeah.
$49 one time is enough rather than paying $29 a month for the rest of your life.
Yeah. We've got a question from Uma who's saying, "What are some B2B tech stack you recommend when it comes
Oh my
to?"
god, there's so many. So like I think it's called the Martech 500, right? Where they tracked the top 500 pieces of marketing technology, but now it's something like 12,000 pieces of software. Like it's just
Like
insane
getting-
all the things you can use.
Yeah.
I like to try and keep it simple
Yeah.
myself. So depending upon the type of B2B business and the size, you're going to have a different tech stack depending upon that. One thing I think that is a big waste of money for most companies is a lot of them use a lot of SEO tracking tools and kind of SEO related tools. And I think that it's a band-aid over not understanding how search optimization actually works. And our company's called Hook SEO, right? I mean, I wrote the book Crush SEO.
Mm.
This most companies that I've seen where we walk in and we talk to a group of marketing people, or maybe it's just somebody who's like the one in the office who does the marketing, right? and they're paying hundreds of dollars in SEO software, and you
Yeah.
ask them a few questions, and they have no idea how any of those tools actually benefit them improving the profitability of their company.
Yeah.
I think you want to try and keep it simple, keep the cost down, use tools that are the tool that's good enough to get the job done,
Mhm.
and like I said, there's just so many tools out there.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
even know where to begin. I interviewed 5 people for my podcast in the past 2 weeks that all have different tools that
Yeah.
I love every one of them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't even know. I want to use them all, but obviously we can't
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
but I guess from an email marketing standpoint,
Yeah.
like I said, um, I'm honestly not a big fan of Constant Contact.
Yeah.
I don't like their editor very well. I think it's difficult to use, but I do like Mailchimp. I like SendFox. I like Klaviyo. I like Drip.
Mhm.
I really like HubSpot.
Mhm.
Um, I would way prefer to use something like HubSpot over like an Infusionsoft or something like that. The Salesforce is good for kind of a medium to larger size business.
Mhm.
Salesforce is great and they have great support. Um, and then from there, I think AppSumo is a fantastic place to get kind of all the little tools that you want
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
rather than paying $19 a month here and $39 a month there and $99 a month there, and then you end up with like 100 tools.
Yeah.
Nobody knows the logins for half of them anymore. Nobody's used them in 6 months.
Mhm.
Your company's paying out the nose for all these tools. You could just go use the one-time payment stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and then if you have to use a tool, I would say that you want to make sure that you put it into your calendar or whoever the employee is who's going to work on that tool, you put it in their calendar and say, use this tool every time at this day of the week. And if
Yeah.
they look and they haven't used it the last couple of weeks, then cancel it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you're just burning revenue, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I think a lot of the times in larger B2B organizations, people get stuck on tech stacks, because obviously, like you said, there's so many new tools coming about. It's exciting, right? There's so much happening, and
It
people
is.
get excited. It's like now there is a new shiny object. It can do this, and this. So we should try it. We've got to give it a go. And then, of
Yeah.
course, you end up overspending when you
Yeah.
really need to just simplify
And
it.
there's some groups of tools that work really well. Like, so we use Zoho One.
Hmm.
That does
The
handles
CLM.
our billing, project management, CRM, notebook, all that. Our internal company chat is on them. It does our they have Work Drive, which is the equivalent of like OneDrive or something, right? But it's
Yeah.
all encrypted. It's all for our own company. Um, and then we use like Gusto for payroll and contractors and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Gusto
Yeah.
works great. I love it. It does all of the localized kind of sending out tax forms and 1099s in the US and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and then, um,
Have you ever used Active Campaign?
yeah, I like Active Campaign too. Active Campaign, um, I really like the way that you can kind of segment your lists with Active
Mm.
Campaign.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's a pretty nice tool. Also, I don't use it as much. We had some clients who were using it, so I haven't used
Yeah.
it in probably 6 months because we don't work with that client anymore. But
Yeah.
they kind of got hit by the COVID. But
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
that's again, here's what happens and this is like the death spiral for companies, right? They
Yeah.
go, my sales are down, so
Yeah.
where can I cut budget? And then they cut their advertising and marketing budget, and then
Yeah.
they don't get as many prospects coming in, so they're not closing as many deals, and then their revenue goes down. They go, where can I cut money? And then they cut more of their marketing and advertising budget. And
Yeah.
then, but what they should be doing is saying, nobody's looked at this local SEO tool that somebody bought 3 years ago for $49 a month, right? Maybe I should cut this tool,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There's, and not to be self-serving or anything. I mean, I know I run a marketing agency, but, um, we work with a tiny, minuscule fraction of all the people in the world who need marketing, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
just, you want to keep that burn rate down on your company, especially if you're a startup.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Alrighty, just a quick side note that this show is sponsored by Repurpose Den, where we help transform your thought leadership content, be it podcast, video series, business blog, or book, into an impactful brand experience to reach your audience where they're at without you hiring and managing a team of editors, designers, and content writers. Because, peeps, content marketing costs 62% less than outbound marketing and generates about 3 times as many leads. Phew.
That's
now,
true.
we will also find best bits of this show repurposed into short clips on my channel, which I will quickly share with you, bit.ly/spreading ideas with Amber Khan. So I have to ask you, Matt, what do you think about, the content marketing, how much of you do within your agency itself? What practices do you implement? Because you have your own podcast.
Well, we're big fans. That's right. So we're big fans of content repurposing, obviously. And, your show was one of the most downloaded episodes. It's in the top 10. And we've done 147 episodes now. So you're in more than the top 10%. But yeah, we love inbound marketing. Content marketing is our thing. It's our space. We're an SEO first company. We try to make sure that everything that somebody does can be found online. And I think a lot of people do a lot of grinding kind of work that they don't need to be doing. Trying to come up with, 5 Facebook posts a week, that nobody's really seeing anyway, when they could be repurposing some of their old content, rewriting it, putting it on LinkedIn and getting 10 times as many people with eyeballs on it. Real eyeballs on it. Not to disregard Facebook. I mean, it's great for the things that it's for. But yeah, I think a lot of people spend a lot of time doing things that aren't getting them ahead and not doing things that will give them a long-term advantage. You want to be, everything that you should be doing should be something, if it takes more than, I forget who said it. They said if it takes more than 5 minutes and it's not going to be around in 5 months, don't do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So focus your efforts on things that are going to be a force multiplier. And, email is a perfect example, getting your email list. If you're out there posting on a Facebook page that has less than 1,000 followers, nobody's seeing that except for you, one of your employees, and your mom, right? You'd be way better off building a list, right? Or writing a blog or, going on a podcast to talk about your knowledge and sharing that with people. You're going to get way more response than you're ever going to get from, a couple Instagram posts. So, and I think that's what it comes down to when it comes to social media marketing, is that a lot of people don't understand how it works. And the whole idea is that a lot of the times it's used as a brand awareness tool, whichever platform you're on, be it Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook, whatever. And so by sharing your thought leadership there, you then drive them, like you said, to somewhere where you can now get their email address, right?
And of course, and then the customer journey continues from there. But the whole, people don't understand that. How do we do that? Or they forget the second part, is that they show up, but they either show up without value or inconsistently, or without having a way to now gather that information and then use it for future later on, which is getting them onto your list. So so I guess there is you have to find a way, learn the way of using social media and using email marketing to the best of its abilities, to make the most of it.
And they all work together.
Yeah, that's right. Alrighty, folks, it is now that time of the interview for us. And you may be thinking, what? Is it gossip time, or share the fun pickup lines time, or tell an embarrassing joke time? Unfortunately, we are not that type of a show. Well, not yet anyway. But what it is time for is... So the 48-hour challenge time. So Matt, this is where I asked you to share what is that one thing that our viewers and listeners can implement when it comes to creating an email marketing campaign, for example, in the next 48 hours that doesn't cost them an arm and a leg or requires a large team to execute it.
Well, for email marketing, I think the best thing that you could do, if you already have a list, I want you to send an email to your list that doesn't have a link in it. And
Okay.
instead of a link, if somebody's interested in what you're talking about, ask them to reply. So tell them a little story, tell them about the new product you have, tell them about the service, tell them about a win you had with a client, something like that, and say, if you have questions about, if this is right for you, just hit the reply button. And I'm happy to, have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised at how many you get.
All right. Well, that's an easy enough challenge. And where can folks find you if they wanted to follow your content? I've got one link over here. Do you want to talk about it? And
so hook2.us/inbox goes to the Inbox Mastery course. There's also a button on there that says store that contains that course, which is the only paid thing in the store. And there's also 9 other courses and challenges that are all free. Or you can go to MatthewRouse.com. It's MatthewRouse.com. And there you can get a free copy of my book. You can book me to be on your podcast, or you can listen to Digital Marketing Masters, and you can listen to Amber's podcast from last year.
Yeah, and don't forget to follow Matt on LinkedIn and tag him and me. We know if you do this challenge, let us know if you have any questions for Matt. Just tag us on LinkedIn, follow him, connect with him, and I'm sure he'd be very happy to respond.
And I'm at Matt Rouse on Clubhouse if you're on Clubhouse.
Oh, wow. Yes, at Matt Rouse. All right. Yeah, we should be. You know what? I need to add the Clubhouse icon there because it's the same at Meet Amberkhan for me on Clubhouse. But I need to. You've just reminded me that I need to put the icon there.
Pop it on there.
It's a new platform.
I'm going to add you as soon as we get off.
Yes, I know. Have you been active on it?
I've just kind of got it rolling the last couple days, but yeah, it's great. I love it.
Yeah, everybody's going crazy at the moment. And, because it's new, so right now is the time to jump on it because, 6 months, 12 months down the line, it's not going to be the same when millions and gazillions of people are on it. Just like any other social platform. That's the way it is. Alrighty, Matt. Thank you so much for joining me and sharing your genius and your fabulous self with us today.
Thank you.
And I hope to do many more live sessions with you in the near future.
We will. See you, everybody.
See ya. Bye-bye.